Well, on Sunday, Democracy Now! Traveled about an hour west to a 12,000-year-old forest in western Germany where activists are fighting against the largest open-pit coal mine in Europe. The massive Hambach mine is 33 square miles, half the size of Washington, D.C. It extracts an extremely dirty form of coal called lignite, also known as brown coal, which causes the highest CO2 emissions, that's carbon dioxide emissions, of any type of coal when burned. For more than 5 years, activists have been fighting to shut down the mine and to save the remaining forest from being cut down to make way for the expanding project. Only 10% of the ancient forest remains. Well, on Sunday, we drove down a dirt road. We got caught in the mud, had to push our car out, but we there bumped into an activist from the nearby city of Cologne at the entrance to the remaining forest.
My name is Anna Fries.
And tell us where we are right now.
Yeah, we are in the Rhineland in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, and we have one of the biggest coal mine areas here in the Rhineland with a lot of bad emissions for, well, all of us. And
is this one of the largest coal pits in Europe?
I think it's the largest one with the most emissions. And as you can see here on the photo, we're in this area at the moment, and all of this was nature, was the forest.
You're showing
before.
us a map.
And yeah, it's basically 90% of the forest is destroyed already because of the coal mining. And we have a little bit left, less than 10%, and there are people trying to protect the last 10%.
So where are you taking us now?
We will take you to the occupation of the Hambach forest, because for 5 years now, or 5.5 years, people try to protect the last bit of the Hambach forest, and they have built around about 22 tree houses where they live permanently during the whole year, and we just, yeah, say hi to them.
Okay, let's go through the mud.
Through the mud.
Onward through the mud. It looks like we've come to yet another branch blockade right here. Why are these put up?
Well, they're put up as a sign to not have people in the forest we don't want to have in the forest, like coal mine company people or police. And as you can see, there's also a small path, so pedestrians are always welcome in the forest, but not cars.
Can you talk about the sacrifices people make?
Yeah. Well, I think it's very hard to live here because you have no running water, you have no electricity. People live here the whole year, so it's cold in winter. Especially in winter, it's very cold, and in summer it's better. But you have to get the water here somehow. You have to, yeah, see where you get electricity from to cook, to charge your mobile phones.
How long have these tree houses been up?
The first occupation was in 2012, and it lasted half a year. And the second one was in 2014. And since 2014, there were always people living here.
We are standing directly in front of a barricade, which the people here have asked us not to film. Anna, can you read the banner that is draped from this barricade?
Yeah, it's saying, "You want us gone, but we'll be right here."
You want us gone, but we'll be right here. So we're not going to film the animals or the people right here, but we're going to go on to the tree houses. And can you tell us your name?
I'd rather not. Prefer to be anonymous.
Are you from Germany?
No, I'm not.
And have you been a part of this blockade, this occupation?
Yeah, I have stayed here for a couple of months.
Why?
Because when I'm here, I feel like I'm actively doing something. When I'm here, I find meaning in the work here. I learn a lot about repression, oppression, and climate change. And I feel like I take a stand here and make it possible both to create media attention and make people know about this place, but also for me personally, like feeling like I want to do something to help the world.
What do you think about the fact that you're right down the road from the UN Climate Summit? The world's countries are gathered to talk about the issue of climate change.
It's surreal. It feels surreal. Also, I'm a little bit angry because I fear not much will be done, as we've seen time and time again. There will be empty promises and no action behind it. People won't actually work to outphase brown coal, to outphase other types of fuels that are extremely, what do you call that, polluting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean by brown coal?
I mean that it's called ignite coal, I believe. There are two kinds of coal. There's coal and then there's brown coal. Brown coal is more destructive for the environment because to be able to get it, you have to actually remove layers of the earth completely. Like you remove all the environment, and you can't just fill it up again because it's polluted. And also, its fuel worth isn't as good as with the normal coal. It's more polluting. It's not as compact, which means it gives off more carbon dioxide than coal does.
Which heats the earth more.
Yep.
We're walking past the barricade into what looks like a village of tree houses. There are about 200 people here for a public tour.
My name is Tom.
And I'm Indigo.
And talk about where we are and what you have done here.
So we are in a treehouse village in an occupied forest. It has been occupied for over 5 years now, and the occupation has the aim to prevent the expansion of the mine. So it's not just about protecting the forest, but about fighting global warming, because this region of lignite mining and lignite power plants is the biggest source of CO2 emission in whole Europe.
How long have you lived here?
I think that's not so important. I live here for a while.
Yeah. And Tom?
No matter if you're here for 1 week or for 5 years, we all do the same. We squat the trees, we organize our lives here, and yeah, we fight for a system change that makes it impossible for a company to do a destruction like RWE does.
Can you explain what the company is and what it's doing?
Mm-hmm. So, RWE is a multi-international company producing energy from lignite mining traditionally, but they also have stone coal that they export from, for example, Colombia or China, where it also causes enormous damage also to indigenous people. They also have nuclear power plants, and now they have part of the company that does renewable energies, since it's where they can make money from now. The whole thing just works out for them because they don't have to pay the costs, but the costs of the environmental destruction happening because of lignite mining. Yeah.
And can you talk about this open coal pit? How big is it?
It's nearly as big as Cologne, which is the next city here, where over 1 million people live.
And what is the company, how has the company responded to this occupation?
Well, they say what they do is legal, and because it's like legalized by the democracy, so they say what they do is right, and what we do here is illegal, and so they ask the police to evict us, what they have done in the past. But for us, that's a strong sign that the problem is the system we live in. So if it's legal for a company to destruct our whole planet, that means that it's time to also resist against state power.
Can you read this banner to us, Indigo, that's above your head?
The RWE, respect existence or expect resistance. Hambacher Forst.
Have the police attempted to evict you here?
Well, the last big eviction was around 3 years ago. They do evict us, but it's really hard and expensive for them. That means that, and also we have the rule that we occupy for weeks after the eviction. So they kind of left us alone the last years because they knew that it's a lot of trouble to evict us, which is already kind of a small victory because that gave us time to develop infrastructure here, both physically but also mentally and emotionally.
Why is it so difficult to evict you, and how much police power do they bring to this?
Well, it's hard to evict in Treehouse. That's the reason why it's really efficient, because like our highest treehouse is I think 24 meters high. So first they have to come into a forest, and then they have to get a cherry picker there and evict you from the treehouse. Also, there are lock-ons on most tree houses, which makes it even harder for them to get the people out.
What's a lock-on?
A lock-on is something where you can lock on with on the tree, so it's not so easy to get you out of the tree.
Do you have electricity here?
Yes, we have some solar panels up in the trees, and actually that gives us enough energy to make computer work from here, to charge our phones, to have electric light in some of the tree houses. And also there's a windmill at the meadow occupation, so actually there's always weather, sun or wind, so we always have electricity.
Are you always afraid the police will raid?
I wouldn't say I'm afraid, because I'm here to fight. So from the first day I came here, I knew that police can enter all the time. So it gives me motivation to go on.
Can you take us into one of these tree houses?
But we have one that is accessible by ladder. For the others you have to climb a rope, but we can go to the one that is accessible.
We just climbed a ladder into this tree house. Indigo and Tam are going to show us around. We just climbed up a ladder to get to this tree house. When was this built? Can you describe it to us and how people live here?
This building is mostly called the Tower, because it's built between 3 trees and has 3 stories. So it's basically the biggest tree house that we have. It was mainly built this summer, because we made a big mobilization campaign, so we knew that a lot of people are going to come. So we needed a bigger common space, and also space that people can get up without having to have a climbing harness and have to climb a rope. So it's also the idea to create it all a bit more barrier-free. So this is our communal kitchen.
And living room.
And living room. We always cook for everyone. Most of the food we use is dumpster dived or gets donated to us. We cook vegan.
And you have a wood stove here.
Yeah.
And how does the sink and the stove operate?
Well, this works with the gas bottle. Unfortunately, we have to cook with gas, but it's just easier. And the sink just goes outside. We collect rainwater with the roof and take it down to wash dishes and so on.
Here's the living room and cooking space, as we said, and upstairs there's a communal sleeping place with, basically room for 15 people to sleep.
And it looks out over this whole village? Mm-hmm. Are there other villages like this in the woods?
Yeah, there are other villages.
I'm just wondering, Indigo, if you could talk about what you feel like in this tree house, many meters up, many feet up, not so far from COP, the UN Climate Summit.
Actually, for me, that's really a sign about how absurd it is that we believe that the people who were actually part of the people who caused this disaster, which is global warming, that we trust in them solving it, even though they are profiting from how the situation is right now. And that actually, just some kilometers away from there, there's the biggest CO2 source of whole Europe. And for me it seems really hypocrite that they're sitting there and talking about global warming and climate justice, because it really shows me that it's time that we take responsibility for our own lives and that we change something and that we create a world which gives us the power to act instead of hoping that other people will solve problems. I also don't believe in technical solutions. I think there is a lot of hope in technical solutions and it can really help us, but we will not stop destroying this planet if we don't overcome capitalism and domination. And it's definitely not a good idea to replace lignite mining with nuclear power. Both costs enormous damage, and for me it's one struggle that's really important for me. I'm not just fighting against lignite mining, but I'm fighting against exploitation in general, and that means fighting against capitalism, and that means fighting against domination. And therefore I see this as one struggle.
Have you ever spoken to any of the workers at the pit?
Yes, we do have contact with them, for example, with the workers' unions.
And what do they think?
They want to keep their working places. Actually, for me, it's really hard to do this discussion because for me, it's actually a racist discussion because we talk about 20 to 30,000 working places in Germany where people might lose their jobs. But we're also talking about people in the global south already dying from climate change, and there are thousands of them dying every day. So I don't want to talk about people losing their jobs because of lignite mining.
Can you describe this forest to us, the significance of it, and will this even be left if RWE, the company, succeeds in expanding the open coal pit?
Well, their plans are to cut down everything here this year until February. So if everyone goes as they plan, they will cut all the occupied parts of the forest until February. This means that it's more important than ever to resist, and that it's more important than ever to connect and network and to come here and get involved.
How easy is it to see the open pit?
Well, actually, RWE tries quite good to hide it. For example, if you drive on the highway close to the open pits here, because it's not just one, it's quite a few, you see hills next to the highways, and on the hills there are solar panels. And there are like trees next to the highway that says Tree of the Year 2008, Tree of the Year 2009. Actually, one other absurd thing is that this counts as reforestation, even though all these trees are just right next to the highway, so they will die. But RWE also has like a fancy place where you can see the pit, and where they have like signs on where they explain how great this technology is and that they have the biggest diggers in the world and so on. And actually some people go there to just have a Sunday trip with their children, or even to celebrate a wedding or something like this.
They have weddings at the open pit?
They do have, yeah.
And there's a restaurant there?
There's a restaurant, yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? What's the restaurant called?
I don't even know. Like, the platform is called Terra Nova, which means New Earth, which is already so absurd to me. But actually we called our compost toilet Terra Nova too.
We leave the occupied forest and drive just about 10 minutes to the largest open-pit coal mine in Europe. It's run by RWE Power. It's, 10 minutes from where we just were in the Hambacher forest.
I'm Milan Schwarze. I'm part of Ende Gelände. Ende Gelände is a, we make action of civil disobedience against coal mining in Germany. So we think it's really necessary that we have to make one step more, go into the coal mines and coal mines like this, and occupy the diggers to stop them directly with our bodies.
And so tell us what you did last Sunday at the beginning of the UN Climate Summit.
Yeah, this was an amazing action. A lot of people, around 3,000 people, enter the coal mine. We start with a demonstration in one of the villages close to the coal mine.
Keep it in the ground, keep it in the ground, keep it in the ground, keep it in the ground.
And then we split off in fingers. We have a 5-finger tactic. And they go directly into the coal mine and went to one of the diggers, and the police made a line in front of the diggers and wanted to protect the digger, because this is how it works in Germany. The police protect the coal mine company.
Now these are these massive excavation machines.
Yeah.
How large are they?
250 meters long and 90 meters high. And they are the biggest diggers in the world. The people built a huge circle that the police can't catch them. And then the police came and pushed the people away, also with horses. And one policeman pushed one woman, one activist, in front of a horse, and the horse goes over the
Trampled her?
Yeah. And steps on her back. And this was a really crazy moment. And then the police came and pepper sprayed a lot of people, and so it was a dark moment of the action, but I think the area is too large and we are too strong, and the police can't stop us.
So you stopped this massive excavator from working?
We stopped the whole mine.
The whole operation that day?
And it was a great feeling and a powerful moment. Also, I think it's a sign of hope. Send it to the world from us, because we want to say we can stop the companies, we can stop the fossils just by ourselves, with our own bodies, to stay in front of the diggers, to stay in front of the destruction, to stop it and to protect what we really love.
We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. Thousands of people chanting that after storming the Hambach open-pit coal mine 2 weekends ago, temporarily stopping extraction at the largest open-pit coal mine in Europe. When we come back, Democracy Now! Questions the Trump administration's climate advisor, David Banks, and get response from Kevin Anderson, climate scientist.